Yeah, hi there, Trevor Davis of Our Father's House, and we're continuing to unfold here some chapters of our life that are just is helpful to you. Look, during the process of a lot of training that we've done, both in the secular world, business mainly across Australia and New Zealand, and from the ministry aspect, which has really been both Australia and New Zealand, but in other parts of the world as well, I've learned some valuable things, I suppose, that not just drive us, but in understanding us, we begin to plan our future. That's probably the word that I'm looking for. I learnt the value of values. We come back to that. I said I'd mention that. What are values? Values are your inner beliefs. Think about this. Your inner beliefs, things you believe, are your inner beliefs that drive your behavior. In other words, you do what you do because of what you believe. You live where you live because of what you believe. You associate with people because of what you believe. See? And you tie vision and values together. Vision is the driving thing that pulls you into the future. The values are the things by which you bring people together to help you to move into your vision. There's a story as we were out one day, and this is important. Maybe I'll just backtrack for a minute, coming back from where we were, and I said to you in our last snippet, now the business failed. So what do we do now? Well, we'd only been back in Australia for 12 months, and we're back on our knees, as it were, to say, well, God, you know, this is what we've come for, and because of government legislation now, this is where we find ourselves. What do we now do? And I had mentioned that we were traveling a lot and doing a lot of ministry and so on. So we get to the end of this year, the business is drying up, and then all of a sudden we start getting some calls, just from nowhere, really. We got calls from 3 different states of Australia asking if we would consider being their senior pastors. And so it just triggered in our mind, well, Lord, are you now asking, requiring from us to go back into a pastoral role? What is it? I'm happy in business, but the business is failing. So what do you actually want here? We mentioned before, we're driven to create finances to be able to release ministries into their ministry. So here we are now. So we have 4, and then we get a 5th request, and that is a request back into New Zealand, which is what we looked at. I want to say 1 or 2 things here as I do this, because we did return back to New Zealand. Out of the 5 churches that we had an invitation, we believe that God was leading us to the one in New Zealand. It was a church that needed some input, needed to be regathered, needed to be structured, and needed to grow again, needed fresh vision. And so that's what we were being asked to come and to do. So how do you do that, and how do you make all these decisions? I've been very strong. If you go to any of our girls at any stage and you're talking to them and say, when you were being brought up, how did your dad deal with situations when you're asking about things of your life? And they will say something like this. Or he takes us down to the whiteboard. So I'm going to call this session the whiteboard test. And this is what that means. So now we're in this situation where business is drying up. We have 5 different requests. Where do we go? What do we do? And I had a business opportunity that was well worth considering and very financially advantaged to us. So this is what I do. This is the whiteboard session. We go out into the garage, and in this instance I put up great big sheets of paper. I put 5 of them, 1 for each one of these opportunities. And then what I write down on the first one is what our values are. These things are values. Here's some examples. Finance is a value. Location is a value, where you live. Family is a value. Friendships, they are values. And so you can go through a whole lot of different values, and they become the determination to make a decision as to where you would fit next. In other words, you line up all the pros and cons about this opportunity, put them all up here. We did that. And then you take the values list. You should have about 7 of those anyway, probably core values. And then you tick off against which one of those values are satisfied in each of this criteria. When you get to the end of that, you can look at this and say, well, there's the opportunity, because here's where all the values are satisfied. And why is that important? Because where values are being satisfied in us, then we will move and we will work and we will live at our peak. So if you've got conflicting values, you're going to be working in disharmony. This is not just with other people, it's within yourself. And this actually is a problem with them. Anyway, we won't go there today, but if you want a seminar on it, give us a call. And I'll help you to do this. Here's 2 examples I learned from life. I'm going to try and give you this and try and wrap it into something here for you. And this is one. We were ministering in a small church and some years ago. And time went on from doing this. So we got to know the people, they got to know us. A period of time passed and we get a call from one of the elders in that church and he's on the end of the phone and is distressed and very hard to get words out. So we talked for a bit. They said, so what is the problem here? He said, I've been to the doctor today, I've got a melanoma, I've got this lump, I've got, and he's given me 6 months to live, and it's all over. And we're upset, and we wondered whether we could have a session with you. I was living in another town, so we made an arrangement to meet the following Saturday. I would come to the appropriate town if they would come there, and we would have a whiteboard session, which is what we did. It took all morning, because what we were having to do here was not just to counsel on the basis of a sickness here. It was to determine here what is important to their lives, because they've only got 6 months to live here. What is important? That's values. What is important to you that you get the most out of this life? And what they had been doing is that they were on a farm, a fruit farm, an orchard, which had come from a dairy farm and so on. And here they were building this up, and he, the man who had this condition, was there, and he was saying, I'm doing all that I'm doing so that I can leave all this to my family. It's a good driver. Sandy's a value. And then his wife, she made this comment, well, we don't want it, so why are you working so hard at it? I said, well, that's a conflict of values right there, see? So I said, well, just set you aside now, but thank you for that. So then I worked with him, and I worked through, and I pulled out all the values, things that are important to him. We put up the sheet. There's about 6 sheets of all these different things, unfulfilled values, things I want to do, desires, vision. And we're going to fit all this now into 6 months. So then I say, well, okay, now you're dead. You're in the box. So we close him down, and then we bring her in here. So, okay, now you've just come away from the funeral. What are you going to do? She says, I'm going to sell the property. So did you not hear that your husband has been working for years to give you this, and you're just going to sell it up? She says, there's no value to us. We'll just use it to be able to live on. And of course, the guy that's now dead in the box wants to get up and have a nurse. I said, no, you're dead. You're not even here, mate. You're done. Okay? So now we have this discussion, and we get, out of all of it, there's about 10 pages of purpose, vision, values, yet to be fulfilled. Now we've got 6 months to do all this stuff. So they went home. I said, well, there you are. Put it down the hallway. Put one of the, every time you walk past it, have a look at it. And because that's your life. I've given you your life now. Wow. You know what he went to do? He went and sold the farm. He sold it. He went and got involved in a mission trip, which was one of the things he wanted to do. He didn't die in 6 months. He didn't die in 12 months. In fact, he didn't die in 5 years. But he was finding fulfillment in his life now. And together they had a new purpose and a new vision and a new whatever it is. Can I say too much about values? Never. This totally changed their lives. He did die some years later, but not for this condition. He actually rolled a tractor on the side of the hill and he got pinned underneath it. But he had a fulfillment now, not of 6 months. He had years of fulfillment because values had been pulled out of him. Vision had been put before him. And then they ran another course. based on values and an upset in their lives. Ever had an upset in your life? Maybe you're going through something like that now. That's why I'm saying some of these things, to help and to encourage you to say, look, it's never over. It's never over till it's over. And when it's over, you won't be here. So let's continue to keep our eyes on the mark. Paul says that. There's things that have been set before you. Let's get our vision. Let's get our values. Let's get our purpose. Let's see God moving in our life. And even if you right now see that this is a time of failure for you in your business, as this became for us, it became a turning point to turn us again back to an area of ministry that affected a church, but not a church, but churches. And so therefore it affected people across the nation again. And so it all went on. But was the experience pleasant? No, it was not. Was the loss something that we could handle anyway? No, we could not. So was the up and down ride of these things helpful to us? Well, you'd only have to say it by looking back and say, yes, that's helped to build our dependence on God. It's helped to build our character in God. It's helped to build our trust and our faith in God. And that'll be for you. So don't give up. The Word of God is a light and a lamp to you. Psalm 119. I trust this is helpful. Get the whiteboard out. If you don't know what to do, get somebody to facilitate. You know what a facilitator is? Somebody that doesn't give advice but pulls out all the threads, the desires, the ambitions, and paints the picture. So at the end of the day, you actually resolve your own future. So God bless you. Send us a note. Love to help you further if I can. Send us a note. Click on subscribe. Would you do that for us today? Appreciate that. Love to hear from you. God bless you. Talk to somebody. Share it with somebody. Pass it on. God bless you. Have a great day.